Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Classic Quest podcast. It's your boy HSR.
It's your boy Chris Chrome.
It is your lady friend Bonnie.
And we are here this week with a special episode for y'all. But before we get into that, just a little bit of housekeeping. So for those of you who are, in fact, new here, we are not the most profound hip-hop head types. We are more folk who are just listening to it, giving you our opinions based on what we discover. It's more of a journey to enlighten ourselves and learn. So always feel free to jump into those comments and let us know what you think, to correct us, all of those fun things. As an example, here's a fun comment from last week's episode on 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying from Russell. Yeah, man, 50 was definitely the shit back in the days. I still love his video games, still to this day. Another guy that would be awesome to review whenever you want to is the DOC's No One Can Do It Better. The guy played a really good factor in the NWA West Coast movement, being a writer for Eazy-E and Dr. Dre. He got into a car accident, which messed up his voice, but despite that, his impact has its purpose. He's really a cool and interesting person, and when you see his interviews on Twitter, by the way, great video, keep up the good work. Those are always fun comments to get those little compliments at the end, but really, it's fun to see those kinds of information, right? So, I mean, that one I'd heard about.
Definitely going in the request list.
But, like, just to have an idea what y'all want to see us cover, that's cool. And the knowledge that gets shared by people who watch this and happen to just know more about the situation than we do. Right. I mean, given that so much of this music is localized to the region and stuff, it's almost impossible
plus also the fact that it's 10, 20, 30 years old a lot of the time. Right. People probably have collected information over those years, whereas we're just kind of diving into it for the first time.
Also, we're very disconnected from the life as we are learning more about it all. Anyway, I'll let you just give you an idea of who we are. We did just finish our grind to 1,000 subscribers contest, so keep up to date with that. We're going to be starting something new, and just on that, this review that we're doing tonight is actually a result of the prize from that situation. Yep. So Mozart won that, and this review is his selection. So we are actually about that request situation, and we do have a request list, and there's almost 300 albums on there. So as you can see, it might take a long time for us to get to the album that you might want. So in light of that, we're starting up with the Patreon business. So if you head over to patreon.com/BehindThatSuit, you will see that at $5 a month, that's the tier that we've established is cool. You get to participate in what we're going to call a request raffle. So once a month, we'll pick from the list of people in that tier. Y'all get put out a request a month, whatever you want, and we'll have to do one of those albums. And it's just the people in that tier. So if one person signs up, that means once a month until 2 people sign up, You get to basically choose that album every month. If 2 people come in, 50-50, etc. And if that stops working or being fun or interesting, we'll evolve it into something better. So just to let you know that's available, the link's in the description of this video, and it would be cool if you so wanted to support us. We thought that would be a cool way to offer you something a little bit back.
Yeah. I think that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so still have some prizes to be unclaimed, although I've probably done the YouTube live video that I was supposed to do today, the day we're recording this. This video should go out after we give away those prizes, so check that out to see if you've won. And and if you don't win and nobody claims the prizes again, we'll just keep redrawing every week or so until we give away the $100 Amazon gift card money and $50 Amazon gift card money that's left, plus the review. To enter into that, subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit us up in the comments, and I'm going to update the list for everybody that keeps watching until all the prizes are given away. On that note, Chris, why don't you let us know what album Mozart wanted us to cover today?
Well, for this week's Headspace, wrong even show. For this week's Classic Quest album, we're going with The Last Emperor's The Legend of Bigfoot album.
Yep. Okay, so this is coming from Mozart Mozart. So we have no idea who this guy was personally. From what I can tell, he's a Philly rapper who dropped this in 2000.
Funny thing, I was trying to find out when this album came out exactly, but apparently it was leaked, first of all. And I found 3 completely different dates in 3 years when this was supposed to come out: 2000, 2002, 2003.
So I'm
I don't
gonna
know
go
what the right year is.
with the earliest year being when it popped or the leak or whatever. So
Or like maybe it wasn't like the full album. Like, I don't know.
Well,
On
I
that
found
note-
a web page that had a different cover than the one that we have.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know what
So-
whatever. So basically, he sent us this YouTube link. That's our reference point. There were 16 songs in that YouTube link. I found that the album had 14 songs, but I couldn't find a consistent track list. So we went with the YouTube video. That's what he wanted us to do. That's what we went with.
Yep.
You'll also notice at a
Couldn't find
certain
it
point.
on Spotify or.
Well, to be fair, he did request it, so we're doing the one
Absolutely.
he requested.
Yep.
And there's so it's unreleased, and I managed to find most of the lyrics online, which was very helpful.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of audio files I couldn't find for the clips I normally insert, so for when we get there, oh well. On that note, we have no idea who this guy is. It's really just a brand new adventure for us. I do know that he dropped a project recently, the Jungle Gym Season 1 project, where he wanted to like follow this character through an adventure through hip hop. And so like my first impression was really watching him describe this current project that
Right.
literally came out like April 2018.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so he's still active. And that's on Spotify, that Jungle Gym project.
The whole thing?
Yeah, it's like a season of a TV show played out through album form is the way he described it. So I personally look forward to checking that out. But in the meantime, we did have
Well, I
this
think
one.
like now he's like 44 or 45
Yeah.
or something. So he's
Well,
not like too old to be like, still going.
On somewhere on this album that we heard, he states he's almost near 30 when this dropped. So, well, this got leaked at least. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. Mid-20s, probably. But yeah, so it's called the Legend of Bigfoot, which
And like on the front, like the cover, it's like kind of black and white. It kind of looks like,
yeah,
like an old school like picture of like Bigfoot in the woods, like one of those creepy
kind of
ones.
like creeping around. Behind
Yeah,
a
like one of
bush.
those ones that you would see like it
Yeah.
not really real, but it's like black and white. It seems like an old school picture. So
yeah, it's definitely one of those covers and titles I might never have looked twice at. I'll be honest. The cover's very minimalistic. It's cool. It fits the theme of who this guy is, so I really like it more now that I've listened to the project. The title's just out there. It makes me feel like what we're about to hear is going to be almost mythical in nature, like
Right.
like he's personifying this legend of Bigfoot to a degree.
Well, definitely artistic and creative because, I mean, as far as I know, Bigfoot's not a real thing.
what?
Right?
I suppose that depends on,
right?
on
who you are because
On
Some
what part
people
of the
think he is.
internet
I think
you're
that some
on.
people
Right?
Still, like go chasing after him.
So what I took from like when he titled it "The Legend of Bigfoot," I thought there was going to be a lot of like imagination in it, like a lot of fun adventures we're going to be having. Like I didn't think this was
Honestly,
going to be like
I was
super.
a little bit worried it was going to be like
Bad.
no, not bad. What's his name? Like fucking the guy who believes the flat earth rapper.
Oh, B.O.B.
It's going to be like B.O.B. That's what I was a little bit afraid of when we got into this at first, but no. I think it's time.
Wait,
Well,
I'm
B.O.B.
just.
has
I mean, I understand B.O.B. making
B.O.B.
rap
has
songs
a
about
fun-
like
no,
flat
no,
Earth.
He started
but-
a GoFundMe.
I know he
like,
started GoFundMe, but I'm just like a Legend of Bigfoot, an actual track about like the hunt and the thrill of finding
like,
this mythical creature.
So like I wasn't sure what to expect, right? That's all
Right.
I'm saying. It leaves a lot open to the imagination. I'm not trying to be a hater or anything. It was just my imagination wandered for a second, but then I listened to the first track here, Secret Wars Part 1.
Tours and have them sign up for the last Emperor's secret war. Sure, for that kind of capacity.
Yeah, this was an experience.
This was really cool.
Yeah.
From what I understood, there's a lot of superhero references matching up to artists. Like he shouts out Method Man, he shouts out Redman, shouts out Busta Rhymes, but he's doing it in a way. He shouts out even Lauryn Hill, but he does it in a way where I felt like he was like. At one point, he had this rhyme with like Busta Rhymes, and it was like somebody like he was going up against a villain.
Okay, let me explain the
It
concept.
was
here.
comics versus rappers.
This is like picture the setting. This is like a pay-per-view event that he has set up. He literally says that
Right.
at the end, right? And this is the event. He's going up against Stan Lee. Stan Lee, creator of
Yeah.
Marvel, right? So Stan Lee is picking his team of villains to come and wreak havoc, and in response, the Last Emperor here is picking out his team of heroes, which is rappers, and they're all going to have almost lyrical battles of destruction.
Right.
So throughout the song, this is the pair up. So it's kind of saying, I believe Busta Rhymes is the Hulk.
Right.
So he's saying Busta Rhymes is like the rap equivalent of the character of the Hulk from Marvel.
Right.
And then uses it by showing how their rap style, which he's parodying and mimicking the voices of, really fucking well.
Really
Yeah,
fucking
he really
well.
does a good job.
I
Like,
honestly
when he
thought
did
some of
Busta
them were
Rhymes,
features at
Yeah.
first, like,
Yeah.
or clips, but no, it's just his voice. And like, so it's like kind of like just showing the personality of each rapper against that specific person from the Marvel universe, which I thought was particularly cool. Anyway, I know I'm not supposed to cut Chris off.
No,
but
it's okay because unfortunately I was not blessed with finding a lot of the lyrics to a lot of these songs, so I might not have that much.
Would you like my pro tip? I went to Google for every last one of them.
Yeah.
And I said, the last lyrics to The Last Emperor, and then I picked each one of them. There were 3 songs of the 16 I could not find the lyrics to. I'll give you that. But the problem is almost all of these songs seem to be released on other projects, so they weren't on this particular project.
Okay.
There were 2 of them that were just standalones, and I added them to this project, which was a cool feature to do. But that is basically what you should do in the future. Pro tip
Fair.
for anyone out there. Anyway,
Fair.
that may have came off condescending. I know it's a little bit trollish, but I had a little fun today after listening to Chris talk about how there were no lyrics, and then he did his review, and I was like, okay, hey buddy, check this out. And then,
Yeah. So overall, I like the song. I like what he did with it. I like the energy, the sound of it. He's got these like drum loops, and they're just kind of wonky a little bit. I gave it a 4.5.
Nice. Yeah, so I mean, obviously this is all comics versus rappers. And then when he says like Dr. Octopus versus like Busta Rhymes.
Was it?
Like,
Yeah,
it
you're
was
right.
like these
You're right.
like these 2 are the ones that stood out the most to me, like in like the impressions that he was doing. Was the one that he did, like, you know, he just kind of copied like Busta Rhymes' flow, and he sounded like really, really good. Like, and I imagine that he's probably like maybe somewhat influenced by him and his style and the way he sounds. And then another one that I liked the way he like interpreted him was Wyclef Jean. He did him as well, and I thought that was kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting references in this song that I didn't quite get. I'm not a big like superhero person, so sorry. Yeah, I like the nasty nuz and the reference to it. It was written. Yeah, it was a pretty. I mean, I like the flow. It was cool. The sounded cool. So I gave it a 4 on 5.
That's cool. So yeah, this one was on some album, and there's apparently a part 2 that I'm definitely excited to check out.
I did see it, but I didn't listen to it.
So yeah, it starts off and he kind of creates the context. Now the first thing you notice is it's got that old timey hip hop feel to the beat, right? Like that New York beats, I want to say, almost feel to it.
Right.
Lots of samples. I want to say boom bappy, but I might be wrong. I'm not 100% there yet with my classifying.
Boom bap, boom bap.
But he comes in and he's just rapping it. He's like, it's like he can barely get through his sentence. He's so excited to be telling this fucking story.
But it's it gives that excitement gives into the passion
Right.
and the energy of the song.
So, like, you really get the feeling that this is an artist who has genuinely come up with a cool and unique way to combine his 2 favorite worlds, or I would assume, but also just kind of highlight favorite characters from each of these worlds, right? So, like, what if I had the power to gather all of my favorite MCs with the illest comic book characters and they became arch enemies? Inconceivable? Unbelievable, yet as wild as it seems, the Emperor and Stan Lee could coach the 2 opposing teams. So he's like, he knows this is a far-fetched, almost impossible thing, and he's letting you know.
But it could happen.
But it's like, it's an interesting way to start the album. Almost one of the very first things he's saying here is, I use my imagination. Go fuck your reality.
Actually, it's also pretty interesting to think
Do you have something here?
I do, because there's like, remember how sometimes we think that like superheroes or rappers are portrayed as superheroes?
Yeah.
It just kind of reminded me a little bit about, like, it's funny how he got that extension and then put in with like real comic book heroes.
Oh man, my buddy Nuclear Convoy has been pitching that kind of ideology for a minute now, so it's something I was super open to coming into this. But then so just an example of how it goes, it's like, let's begin the ultimate tough man competition. Let the games begin. So it's a cool voice he throws in, and it's amazing, like the versatility in the voices he uses. Set it off. It's the fight of the century. KRS and Professor X would battle each other mentally with rhymes. These two captains waste no time with rhymes. Waste no time. Charles Xavier tried to invade Chris Parker's mind. He shot a cerebral probe at Chris's mind, but he missed it. Professor X was taken out by the Blast Master's metaphysics. So it's like he's saying KRS-One is like Professor X. He's got all the mental tricks. He's going to come at you and almost use telepathy to take you out. And then he continues to go on from there, and he pits Doctor Strange against Jizza. He pits Redman against the Hulk. So, yeah, it was Redman who fights the Hulk. Then he does this, like, Common interview back when Common was still going by B Common. By Common Sense. I apologize. Oh, yeah. And I could have sworn it was Common for a second. I almost, I stopped and tried, and then I realized it was probably just one of the voices using. There's no way. There's no way these are all features on this album, right? Unless I'm wrong. And from that point on, Dr. Octopus versus Busta Bus, Rascas versus Magneto. Rascas is a name that just keeps coming back. I'm going to take that as a sign.
Yep.
And then Stanley pulls out Storm because he doesn't feel like there's any females who could contend, and he brings out Lauryn Hill to fight that. There's the Beast versus Jeru the Damaja, who I'm not really sure who that is, but I feel like if it's in this song, it's probably a worth it thing.
Yep.
And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles versus Das FX, which I thought was really fun and caught me off guard, but I really enjoyed it. Then when G.I. Joe and his people come through, it's the Boot Camp Clique. And I don't know what that means, but I felt like there was definitely some Googling shit to be done after listening to this thing. Weapon X from Canada, you know who that is. It's my favorite X-Man. It's the fucking Wolverine. And you know who that is? It's Method Man. That's who it is. Then it's Nas versus Peter Parker, where he does give a copy of his album to Peter Parker to win the battle. But what's really cool about this is he doesn't end it. He's like, this is my favorite rappers of that generation. And then for all up-and-coming MCs, I've got a question. If I made a Secret Wars Part 2, would your name even be mentioned? Would you make the final cut, So
you'd have to be good enough.
Yeah, and so he's kind of almost saying, I'm watching still. I want this. I want to see who's next. I want to see who I'm putting in this. Do you want to be in my song? Step your game up. But I didn't catch everything, but I'm 100% certain I caught a Rwandan line out of nowhere in the middle of the Nas part.
He does mention, we get into a little bit more of Africa kind of throughout the album, so
but I just wanted to throw it that he just drops these little political nuggets in the middle of these elaborate stories in a way to make sure that you're stuck with a little bit of truth, or he makes you think about a situation you might not be thinking about in the middle of it. Now, I noticed it wasn't in the lyric set for what was posted on the next album, but this is the original version, so I wonder if they made him clean it up a little bit and cut out some of the more political lines to fit it. But I don't know, I caught that. I didn't really find it again, and I didn't have enough time to really dig through it, but I really respected that situation. Anyway, so I gave it a 4.5 on 5 because, man, I mean, you realize right away there's going to be a lot of lyrics, this album, but there's messages here, stuff to listen to, curiosity, you're almost excited to know what comes with a heavy height Invincible.
And I'm ripping the stage, igniting and writing rhymes since a ridiculous age. Let's face off like Travolta.
So the YouTube video said Heavy Height Invisible. I based the fucking title and everything off of that.
Classic. I'm right as usual.
That's fine.
Heavyweight Invincible.
That's what we're talking about now. Chris? The lyrics were there, I promise.
No, not when I did it this morning.
I added it to the album myself.
I know you did.
How did I find it? Go on, Chris. Go on.
I like the DJ scratches that he's got playing into the instrumentals throughout this song. It really gives that homage ode back to old school hip hop. Well, I mean, at least from when I'm listening to it now. I feel like he's just spitting bars and he's kind of just making his point, like why he's super good, why he's the best rapper. He's kind of just like taking out other MCs. And I feel like he's kind of, he likes staying underground a little bit. I don't think he wants to kind of be like super known or in the public. He wants to just kind of stick to himself, but also got these hard hitting messages to relay out.
And then we did this review on him and he blew up.
Right. All in all, the song is good. I do enjoy the beat. I gave it a 4.
And Miss Bonnie?
Well, I too enjoyed the like the scratching and the mixing. Like I thought that was really cool. And his rhymes that he spits are just like incredible and amazing. And like he is quite a strong rapper. So this is more for like, you know, he's kind of saying that poor people need someone to look up to. I don't know. I like this one. It felt good. I like the piano that was on the beat. I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a couple of sides to this album that we're going to encounter. There's the pure hip-hop, I'm the illest MC shit, as we're kind of getting here. He's flossing his abilities as a rapper to drop some shit. And then there's stuff like, say, the last song, which is more, I'm a creative fucking person with some really interesting song concepts. And I like the fact that the first 2 songs on this project, or at least in the order that we found it, really convey that he's got those both sides. And I'm starting to see that a lot of the top MCs out there are able to do both those things. They're able to tell the cool story with the creative idea, but they're also able to floss for days with puns and such. Well-crafted lines.
Talented diversity.
So I guess my approach for this song, so I feel he's more flossy, is just kind of quote the bars that I liked. I mean, the beat was cool. It had like a loop that very much sampled like the same kind of piano bit played through it. It's very much the kind of like beat where you know that this is not about the beat. The beat is just almost there as a backdrop to an MC who's about to share some knowledge or whatever. So I kind of like that feel. But right away, it means, at least for me, I gotta be in a mood for that kind of rap because it's dense. And then you got lines like "Let's face off" like Travolta versus Nicolas Cage, which is a fucking great like movie poster. If you haven't seen it, like I remember looking at it in the movie store all the time. Very nice. Brought me back.
What movie?
Face Off, where you have Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and it's split up in the middle, and half their faces are on each side. See, that's the other side. That line's a little bit dated. You had to have known about that movie from the 90s.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, I think it was like early 2000s.
Maybe you're right. But, aw shucks, y'all finally got me talking tough, ready to bust these suckers that constantly bother us. Oh yes, just when you thought it was hopeless, one man fights back on behalf of the oppressed. And I love that, because not only is he coming in with the bars, but he's also putting where he's coming from and who he represents on the table. He evidently is for the people who are voiceless, and he is not about necessarily the side of capitalistic gain and shit. Like he's representing people, and that's really cool. I liked when he said, "After I drop Anchorage, my language is filled with anguish, breaking kids with their own songs like Weird Al Yankovic." Because I don't really know what Anchorage is, but the first word that pops in my head is suffrage when I hear the word Anchorage.
Well, anchorage, I mean, assumably, it just means to anchor one down, to hold, to hold down.
I should have looked this up. It's a pronoun. It's a specific thing. But I don't know. Either way.
I feel like it's still something that weighs you down.
But yeah, so it's a cool line. Spin a web of deception. The best can't untangle it. I like that. But the fact that he brings in Weird Al Yankovic, that's cool. I'm a huge Weird Al fan. That guy knows how to make a good parody song.
Yep.
Listen here, this rap game is child's play like hopscotch, traveling at the slow speed of a foxtrot. On my block, we accelerate and celebrate when a cop shot for not giving us a chance to lamp
lyrically
like a stopwatch
dude,
and block shots, which is seconds on the shot clock, sent away from an album deal with 3 cereal box tops. Like, it's the rhyming and the syllables being on point, the overusing of stuff, but like to also say something there, right? Like his flow's kind of fucked up. He brings up the dance and the rhythms and shit, and to end it up, that is like, he's so like in a kind of hopeful situation that he's sending off his album deal request with cereal box tops. Like you're fucking kind of get a prize. Like it's so aimless and out there. Yep. Man, there's so many good lines on this album. While you live, try to give life to the dead and make the corpses bleed. Flip flaps you couldn't reach if you had engine set with warp speed. Awesome. To hell with the money and the fame. Watch me take you out the game. It's the young Jedi that Yoda forgot to train. Oof.
That's fire.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
This guy's a nerd.
This guy is like... So, yes, he's a bit of a nerd, but he's also a bit of a philosopher, but he's also dropping bars like...
Yeah.
Like, it could be like listening to something like Jizza or like that level of intellectualism.
No, right. Absolutely.
Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. I really like the scratchy hook and stuff, but I give it a 4.5 on 5 because as much as it's really amazing, it's got that grimy, dense. This is not necessarily meant to be a song so much as a message that's being laid down. Now, it's still a song, it's still fire, and it's still hip hop, but it's not. I don't know. Maybe I like pop too much to fully embrace this as the greatest sound I've ever heard. And I apologize if that offends anyone.
All right, let's check out Party Crashers.
His phone call. I grab the phone with the quickness and ask, who is this? The emperor's in the place. Okay.
Tea and honey really gets rid of allergies.
Yep, Chris has been a little bit of a sniffy
I
Sally.
have enlightened him to the ways of honey.
Bonnie gave him like this speech about honey. Get your local honey on. Okay, Bonnie, how do you feel about Party Crashers?
Yeah, I like this one. I liked his storytelling, first of all. He doesn't really like going to clubs, but he goes anyways, and then, he goes and he kills it on the mics. And then I didn't really understand, like the whole thing about, like, him, like, not wanting to go to places that don't take cash or that do take cash only. Like, he doesn't have cash, so I'm guessing he wants to pay on credit card. I'm guessing he's too broke.
Do you remember them? This is what I correlated. Do you remember Wedding Crashers, where you just show up to the wedding uninvited and eat and bounce out?
Maybe they somehow sneak in or something.
That's it. So they're crashing the party, his army of bums. It's the first time on the album we get this idea that he's poor, that he's a bum, that
and
he's
he shows
calling
up,
his army
and like if
a
it's like an
bums.
open bar, he's going to take advantage.
And I'm not saying this in a derogatory.
I think it's like a character he's playing.
Right. But I'm not saying this in like a derogatory sense. I'm saying philosophically, I think he is against the idea of money and capitalism. Okay. So he chooses to embrace the lifestyle of a vagabond or a bum.
Oh, okay,
so
that's
you know
fair.
What I'm saying?
That makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of tracked the. Okay, this was a hard song to follow. So we have him on it. So he's up there and he's in his room and he's writing rhymes and everything. Everything's fine. Then he gets a phone call from anonymous person who he adopts a voice for. Somebody stole his mic, and he has to go out there and do it. So he's gonna crash this party where the mic is allegedly at some club, some place he doesn't want to go. Then he calls up a bunch of Mongolians.
As you do.
And so then he brings the Mongolians. And he likes to
live in a yurt with them.
He tends to avoid clubs because I feel like the environment's kind of toxic and not really into the stuff he's into, like immoral in a sense. I did like when he said it's time to strike back. The emperor don't like that. I also like when he's like, we can't pay to get in because bums don't carry cash. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a party to crash before it kind of bounces into the hook. And then kind of like how I was describing, he likes to almost throw these serious messages into these almost bigger stories. Start your engines, all melanin carrying descendants, and lick 3 shots for third world independence. Hip hop in his remnants, every artist to make friends with, and at every party I crash I left dented. I think that's what he said, dented. I wasn't sure. But I'm like, what a strong one to start that second verse,
Yeah.
Just kind of just the fact that he even bothers to mention the fact that there are still issues in the third world needing to be focused on is not something you hear a lot, I guess. Immortal Technique, I think, is the only other guy I've really listened to that seems to have brought that kind of attention to that part of the world in a way that I've cared enough to focus on since I've been caring.
Yeah.
Also, then he looks around the club and he sees all sorts of sinful shit going on, and then somehow an A&R rep gets shot in the middle. It seems like this action scene just plays out, and you can picture a bunch of shit going down, but I had a little bit of trouble following the specifics. I know if I listen to it a few more times it would make sense. And it kind of is like this. I kind of took this whole club scene as this commentary on the state of hip-hop, and this is the culture that's being promoted by these toxic A&Rs, and him and his party crashers are attacking the industry with their knowledge and their other way of being and saying your fun charade of bullshit is now over.
But I think he also says, too, that he's going to shoot them down with his talent and with his lyrics and stuff like that.
So and I extended that to mean that since he's a more knowledge-driven, philosophical dude, he was going to attack.
He is an educated man. He has a university degree.
Right, and he's like attacking the hedonistic state of hip hop, the smoke pot, fuck bitches, all that kind of shit, with his more,
intellectual.
Yeah, like be strong, be cool with yourself, learn, be humble. And then in the last verse has him crashing all sorts of parties. He can't find his mic, so he keeps crashing parties. And he's a party crasher for hire. He'll even hit up bar mitzvahs and shit. And this guy's creative, man. Like, I'm not even sure what to do with this song, but it gave me a lot to think about. And I haven't had necessarily as much of a chance to digest it, but a lot happens. There's like multiple levels. There's like the literal take on what's happening. There's almost the story when you take a step back and realize it's a criticism on the industry and his ability to like get in. And because he doesn't have money, it's like he can't even seem to get in the door. So he has to crash the party by being the fucking best. And it's just ill. And then it just seems like he has to grind by keep hitting up party after party after party. It's just sick, man. It's just really cool. The beat's pretty decent. I give it a 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it the same thing. I gave it a 4.5 on 5 as well. And, like, I mean, I said pretty much everything. So I think it's also just sort of that it's not a party until he's there and he's crashing it. And also I think he's there and he's going from party to party to party to get his name out there. And I think he is trying to, like, let people know who he is and, like, what his music is about and, like, kind of the stories and the messages and, like, the things that he wants to get across to everybody. So, I mean, I thought it was really cool. I liked it. So, yeah. What do you think, Chris?
Wait. I wonder if the mic is a mic from the source. Ooh, like the review. Anyway, I'm just go on, Chris. Never mind.
I like one thing that I like really about this song that kind of got me thinking was when he goes, "Freedom writers, let your shotgun blast," and it kind of stuck with me because after hearing both your interpretations of what the song is, it's actually kind of cool how he's kind of talking about the industry and how, I guess, making a mockery of it or trying to show how, like, it's in a certain way. And then now I'm thinking back to that line of freedom writers, and it's like I could see it now. Like he's supporting the people who are trying to write this like lyrical message, this serious, hard, heavy bars that they want to talk about, and like he's trying to support them. I didn't find lyrics to this song, so I did have trouble kind of following along through it.
I want to put it out there. I couldn't find them.
Fair enough.
Could you find them?
I don't remember. I mean, there was like maybe 2 songs that I couldn't find so I probably did find them.
But I did kind of get this like gangster-esque feel from him in this track while he was mentioning like he's going from place to place to trying to take over. I think part of crashing the party is also like I get the whole setup of trying to find the mic, but I think he's trying to find every mic to kill every mic so that he can be there and take over. Because it still, again, felt very like, I'm the best, I'm here, and this is why, like, I support my team and, like, my group of bums, you know, like, this is what we're going to do. It just felt like he's trying to take it over. I gave it a 4 on 5.
I mean, I appreciate where you're coming from. I don't think he sounded gangster. I don't know if that's the right word.
Not like gangster, like full on street thug, but I'm saying like I like that like cocky in your face type feel, like that gangster hip hopish feel.
I honestly felt more. I didn't feel that. I felt this was more of like a guy who felt almost frustrated, like he's hungry, like he's on the thirst. He's on the grind or something. I felt like he's a smart dude. I feel like he feels like he's a soldier. A soldier, you know? Like he's fighting for more of a moral cause or something, you know? Like this was like almost, I'd say more in line with like a philosophical or religious war on the state of the ethics of the industry. Then anyway, that's kind of where I heard it from. Okay. But I mean, I could see how the idea of being gangster, but I just thought it's strange. I don't know if that was the good word. If that makes sense. Am I being too much of a nitpicker of fucking internet? I don't know these days.
Well, let's check out the expedition.
Yeah.
We are the young black explorers.
The in this.
So I would like to state that I couldn't find the lyrics for this one either, just at the beginning, just so that Chris knows that I also had to listen to this one with a little more. Anyway, what a beat, no?
Wow.
I think this beat was one of the few that really stood out to me as being really exceptionally well produced, like really cool sounds in the background, like a dingy dingy kind of stuff that was going on that really just added flavor to this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the beat over the lyrics themselves. Like not the lyrics literally, but I'm saying like just how he did it and how he kind of strung along with the song. It wasn't bad. It was on point, but I just didn't kind of get into it that much. One thing I did like was when he goes, I took one step forward and he took two steps back. That's something kind of like what I understood. Made me feel like he's ready. He's always prepared to go and ready, and people are kind of backing down. They're like, oh, you know, the emperor is here. He's gonna conquer everything. Still holding true to like his character and coming for the game. And what also I'm getting from this song is that he also is going on like an adventure.
Yes.
I feel like he's trying to like recruit people to get out of the struggle. I feel like he wants people to somewhat go to like a better place. But all in all, the song landed at a 3.9. I just think I wasn't really too thrilled about the way he presented the lyrics on this song.
Okay.
Oh, man. I just realized I got confused in my notes. All the dingy sounds, that's the next beat. Still a good beat on this one. Go on, Bunny.
So yeah, I mean, I think that this one is definitely, you know, an adventure. You know, he's kind of going all over the place and conquering, more specifically, Black people are conquering and like, you know, kind of going everywhere. And they say that where there's a whip, there's a way. Okay. And I think that that's kind of, you know, like the way that they're taking over, like they're going to change the rules and they're going to flip things around to maybe the way things were, or like the opposite of the way things were. So he just kind of plans trips and he explores, and like hip hop, I think, is kind of like the main like focus point. That hip hop is like breaking into, you know, all over the world. It's like, you know, becoming mainstream. Everybody around the world is loving it. It's not just in like, you know, New York and LA, you know, like this is happening, and he's going to bring it to, you know, to the world. And I think that that's really cool. So yeah, I'm not really sure, like, besides that, what the message is all about, but it sounded like a decent song, so I give it a 4 on 5.
Yeah, I got the sense that he's looking at hip-hop as a vessel of almost creating a conquest of ideology. I think he's almost... I don't want to get in trouble for saying this, but it almost sounds like he's inspired by the slave trade and wants to use the same logic and mechanism to take his message through hip-hop around the world to intellectually enslave others with a powerful and positive message.
Yeah.
Like to
It's
be
like a nice
I can see that.
slavery.
to be like the opposite of what the slave owners did, but maybe go through it. And anyway, I might have missed the mark on that a little bit, but that's how I interpreted his message. Either way, I love how it starts with, "We are the young Black explorers. No country is safe when we invade the borders of any foreign nation to tear stages. Like archaeological excavations, it's child's plays. We bring the pacifier and the playpen. Safe, friend. I really truly feel it's my duty to steal the land from these bougie MCs that don't move me." So
Bougie.
yeah, that was my first thought. It means bougie's been around for a lot longer than Migos. If anyone ever thought they coined the word, it's impossible. Because, like, yeah, they would have been not. Anyway, so on top of that, it seems like it's not just an assault on, like, investing the world. It's a little bit on making sure that the bad MCs, the bougie ones in his mind, aren't the only force that's out there doing it. It's almost like he sees the landscape as like a risk board map, and he's going out there to conquer and take land from other people, which is pretty fucking cool. I like how his rhyming, he's like using his rhyming to show how like imperialist he's like trying to show how other people have to like show how he's using imperialistic tendencies, like I said, to like take over. Before I leave a country, I'll make sure they remember me. I'll liberate the natives and blow up the embassy. So then you get the sense that what side of the fence he's on. Like, he wants to go in there and take out the, probably the European colonists who took over and did a lot of damaging stuff.
Yeah.
He wants to liberate various countries and ensure that they no longer have to deal with me. And keep in mind, this is prior to 9/11. This is before the Arab Spring. This is a different era of the state of the Middle East and such, right?
Again, more with that like political stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
And he's still like I like how he finds ways to weave that in.
But like he wants to, it's like he's a revolutionary of the mind. He's making sure that the things that are important are being focused on. Another line I loved, and just because it's very close to home, hijacking Canadian ships the French used in the fur trade. I mean, it's always good to talk about Canadian history.
Yeah.
I get it's a 4.75. I thought it was super powerful and super interesting. You could feel his passion and all of that fun stuff. And it's this album's given me a lot to listen to and think about already. And we're like, what, 4 songs in?
Yeah.
Next up has the Dingly beat I thought this one had, and it's
Caravan.
Means peace in the land of our destination, which is the east. Now I need ya to
Caravan.
Nah, seriously, this beat is next level. Like I was trying to say in the last one, and this was one of my favorite beats on the album. I'm so sorry I got confused. Chris, what did you think of this song?
I like this song. I think I may have also gotten confused in my notes too, because this is the one that I understand. He has a caravan. He's going on an adventure as well, but he kind of wants to take people to a better place because he's sick of all the negativity, is what I'm understanding. Mm-hmm. I like how he's talking about the bad energy, how he makes it a point to not want to have that type of energy in his life. So I like how he says the positive. Also, I also get this feeling that he's trying to also again conquer and take over some stuff. The beat is next level. I gave it a 4 on 5.
And you, Miss Bonnie?
Well, first of all, the name Caravan just makes me think of Australia because they just have like they go for a ride in their caravan, and they have like these fun fact also for you. I know it's totally random, but they have these wicked vans, which are like each one is like uniquely like designed and colorful and like kind of like graffitied or whatever on the outside, and you can rent them and just travel across Australia. So that's what I think of, or I think of like a whole bunch of trucks that are all together, like a caravan of trucks. But anyways, I'm guessing it's the Australian version because he is kind of going to explore, and that he's saying that you don't need like a passport or a visa, and then he's just, I think that his music is just going to travel across the lands, and like maybe he's just going to travel and like, like we said in the last song, his music is going to go, kind of worldwide, and I think that he wants to like go places that maybe rappers don't necessarily go, and I think that he wants to just kind of like get that message across the land, which is what he's saying in this song. And he also like mentions some Arab countries, some countries in Africa and Madagascar. And like I really liked the sound. It was kind of creepy sounding, but still fun. There was like kind of like wind chimes in like the background. And he's just kind of saying like the world is big, remember that, and life is a trip. So he's just kind of saying like get out of your small little world, go explore, see things, do what you got to do, and then come back and see how you feel. I think he's kind of just saying that. I think, yeah. So his music, and you should travel and explore and, see the world. And it's a vast place out there. So I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, I actually really think the crux of the song is you should travel more as people.
Yeah.
And to start that off, it's very interesting when you go on Facebook, before getting into a fight with a person, you should ask them this question, have you traveled? And then if you'll ask that question, you'll find a correlation between the answer, yes, I've traveled, and the sort of person
I think it also depends on where.
Yes. When I say traveled, I don't mean you went on vacation to a resort. I mean you traveled, which involved going and meeting locals and being part of a journey that, went to places.
Something more than just going to sit on a beach.
Yeah.
Or
you have
like
to
stay in a
absorb.
hotel.
You actually have to
Chugging
absorb
mimosas
the
to
culture of something. So he kind of has his desert caravan. So a caravan would be like a group of merchants or whatever, a long line of travelers that would be going.
Gypsies.
So there's a bunch of types of caravans. It's his desert caravan, and he's super willing to fight and whatnot, and like do what he has to do in his homeland. But he's almost looking for peace, so he's like heading out there, which made me wonder if this was like heading to Mecca or something like that in his mind.
Okay.
Which that bounced into my head. I don't know if it's true.
That's an interesting point.
A fun fact is Aftermath, Dr. Dre's label, who at this time he signed to, is paying for it all. So good on you, Dr. Dre. I would like to go on this
I want to go on
Caravan
vacation
party.
on Dr. Dre's bill.
So yeah, and then all of a sudden, as he's describing like this, he's going on this journey, and he's encouraging you to come with him and to see new places and to experience new things. He's like kind of repping how he's got like women from countries like Tunisia, Yemen, and Morocco there, and you're like, nobody's like really repping these countries, you know? Maybe Morocco has some representation there with what's his name, whatever, that guy there that does whatever. That just went nowhere. The one that signed a Bad Boy. That's fucking Morocco.
Oh, French?
Yeah, him.
Oh, okay.
See, I knew we'd get somewhere with
I
him.
had it in my head. But I was like, please say like a song or something so I can confirm.
So then he's like all over meeting all sorts of like interesting folk. He gets a bit into the various ladies he's going for, and as he's talking to his princess, he makes it abundantly clear that he's not down to pay for anything, but in exchange for that, even though he's not a rich man, he has the journey and the spirit of the adventure of his life, and the value of going with him is that he can help you kind of like reach new heights in your almost spiritual journey. So in a sense, it's like the Caravan, as much as it's a desert caravan and stuff, it's more like a spiritual journey he wants you to take with him through his music that will, in a sense, take you to all these different places, but also in a literal sense, go out there and travel and see the world. That's at least how I kind of took it. Yeah, I gave it a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was really interesting to listen to, all things considered. Like, I mean, super creative guy. That's all I got to say about this one, I guess. So next up, it's Animalistics.
Animal I choose. You don't have the skill for this. Man destroys, I'm rebuilding this. Watch me run through.
So he was reading Genesis, the first book of the Bible. Mm-hmm. And he was thinking about the animals, which I assume are from Noah's Ark, on the boat.
No.
No? It was different?
No, he's just talking about like when he created the earth on like one of the days, he made the animals, and then he made humans, and humans were to rule over all of the animals.
And then you realize that all the animals are him. And then the song kind of goes into him rapping using animal puns to describe the way his rhymes embody the spirit of various animals. And I believe that would be the niche of this particular song, correct?
Hold on. At the end of this song,
yes,
he goes, and I can't believe I didn't fucking write it.
Don't worry.
But
then
he
I
goes,
became the worst animal of all, the last emperor of MCs, a.k.a. Hassan Jamal, the all-knowing, all-powerful, time-consuming. That's when I realized the deadliest animal is human.
That's where I'm going to say it. I think everything he says throughout this entire song and when he's transforming is just him playing as different characters, making a whole resemblance to how humans act as animals and how we are animalic creatures. Because at one point there's a part where he's like something about a silverback gorilla going at you.
Yep.
And I envision this big dude going at some person, and I'm thinking like, is this a resemblance of how he sees society? And he's just talking it about like when he sees society and how people are acting and fighting and all this negative shit, and he's masking that with all these animal characters to then tell us at the end of the story, be like, well, actually the worst animal alive is the humans.
I mean, maybe.
Yes.
Because it sounds like you have to keep in mind that if the whole song is I am like the cat and I am like the gorilla and it's all mine. No. You can't, like what I'm trying to explain is you can't, if it were about society, I wouldn't be the subject of the song. The subject it's a first person song. He's describing his relationship to these various...
Is it a little bit weird to think that maybe he's using I as a fictional character?
I think it is. Well, as a fictional character, sure. But I think that what you're describing requires a different tense that was not used. So if the guy's going... And people are like, the cheetahs are like this, roaming the lands, but are they worse than the gorillas? Okay, then yes, I see where you're coming, but that's not how it's described. In fact, it's described like, watch me run through the industry like the wilderness, return of the Might King. No, this is about him and his skills and the animals he's comparing them to, you know? And then the various dangerous animals resulting in at the end, he is the human with the mind power is the most dangerous animal, would be in how I interpreted that, at least. I don't know if you...
I mean, the song was all right. I mean, like, I don't really know if I'm going to get anything different out of it. I mean, right at the very beginning, I was listening to this with, like, headphones, and it just sounded awful at the beginning. Like, it was just awful sound in the background. And you can't even listen to the lyrics, or I couldn't, because, like, the sound of the song was just, like, so, like...
I didn't agree with that.
Irking, I think, at the beginning, sort of, like, you know, like the scratching, like the warp monkey, like, sounds, like, screaming, and, like, a lion, like, roaring, and, like, I get it, but it just sounded, like, too rough on, like, maybe it was just, like, the mixing or whatever. I didn't really care for that at all. So yeah, I mean, basically, you know, talking about Genesis and how man has rule over all the animals. And he also talks about the Black Panther. So I think that he's also kind of like, you know, he's standing for something. Like, he wants, you know, black people to, like, be strong. And then we hear, like, a Tarzan cry, and he's an animal and he will attack you. And I think he also means, like, he'll attack you with his raps and with his lyrics.
Yes.
And I mean, all the animal references are really cool. The lyrics are, like, really cool and unique. I thought it was, like, you know, something interesting. I'm surprised nobody else has really done something like this that was, I mean, maybe as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I gave it a 4.25. I mean, it kind of lost marks just because of the beginning.
Yeah. So, I mean... Okay, so, like, if you really go through, like, the song, like, so he's catching a whack-whacker hiking. If it's not to his liking, he stalks his prey before striking. So this is all from more of, like, a battle rap-esque point of view. Like, he's about to take on MCs, you know? And there's no time to be rational or diplomatic. I'd rather have it wild like National Geographic. So he's using these animals to show, like, rawness and ferocity. So even if you go to the Black Panther, the line right before it is he's first off, I'm going to come at you like all the jungle cats, right? So I become a Black Panther with paws and razor-sharp claws. My cat form gives me the ability to pounce and to grace him the agility of a tiger. They fire shots almost killing me. So he's almost addressing, like, animal issues in the middle of the song, too. 3 MCs run in different directions and sections. Transform into a cheetah, I bet I could catch them in seconds, you know, because now he's got to be a cheetah. He's got to use his speed and come after these people who are running away from him.
Yep.
Right.
Now, as a human, my lyrics are the most pleasing, but in the form of a lion, I aim straight for your throat region. So he's really just kind of bounces through different animals, and, like, the song feels a lot like that. He knew my arms were powerful like Mighty Joe Young. Now here's a side note to add into our session. So here's a side note to add into our session. Ask Roddy McDowell, maybe Charleston Heston, about the Emperor wax CDs and tapes, and he'll say there's no escape from the Planet of the Apes. You know, like,
now it sounds more battle-y.
Yeah, but the whole song kind of feels like that, you know?
Right.
So culminating with the end that he, the human, is the worst and baddest of them all, since he had already tapped into, but really he's fueled by all the animals. I mean, I got this, like, he's in touch with nature. He obviously loves animals. He knows a lot about animals, is what you get the feeling from.
That makes me happy.
And in general, I give it a 4, though. I felt it was a little long, and I wasn't as thrilled with the beat. The rhyming and the abilities is all there, but if the beat is a little bit hard to listen to, it's a little bit hard to give it a high mark, even if the talent and the rhymes, there's a lot to talk about as a reviewer from my perspective, but it was definitely not one of my favorites, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Pharrell
Is the next one.
And I'm rolling right, my words are real and all others are prototypes. Sit home and write during the day you're over.
So how'd you feel about this one, Bonnie?
Pharrell.
For real.
So yeah, I mean, it's basically about him making it for real. And yeah, I mean, there was interesting references. I liked the line "precious like an elephant trunk" or an elephant tusk, which I thought was very true. Fun fact: animal trading is the third biggest black market trafficking thing that goes across the world.
Dun, dun, dun.
So there you go. If you want to get some, I don't know, whale teeth, you can do something with those.
And you know where to get whale teeth?
No, I don't. Yeah, so this is just sort of like, you know, whoever dares challenge him, like, he's going to, like, win. I like the reference about hand in his pocket like Alanis Morissette. I thought that was funny.
Is she Canadian?
Yeah, she's Canadian.
Gotta love the Canadian lines.
Yeah.
Is he Canadian?
He's from Philly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's from Philly, but there's a few Canadian references, so he must have like
Friends up
friends or
Well,
like
it's
a good
not
place
like
in his
Philly's
heart for
that
Canada.
far from Canada, is all I'm trying to say.
No, it's not. But I mean, well, whatever. Not everybody in Philadelphia is like maybe the biggest fan of Canada. I don't know.
That's fair.
So yeah, I mean, he does all the right work, and I like the jazzy kind of feel this one had like to it. So this is just a cool song. I give it a 4 on 5.
And you, Mr. Christopher?
It's a 4 on 5. He's very consistent in the battle-y rap, I'm better than you type songs. I thought it was really cool how he's trying to make the music real and how he wants to keep it very authentic to himself. He doesn't want to play up on any of these like fake bullshit that people have been using. He only rhymes for pleasure, not for monetary profit. So he's really in it for like the hip hop culture in it for itself. I like the little jazzy sound that it carries throughout the beat. That was really cool. It had this like jazzy R&B feel.
Yeah.
But really, it's he's just talking about being real in the game. Gave it a 4 on 5.
So I think it's more than being real in the game. So I think he is doing that, and I think you hit one of the main themes right on the head. He's not about that profit, he's about that knowledge, and he's about sharing that. But I think there's a whole other side to this song that needs to be expressed.
Okay.
It's about put the work in, and then you get the results. Don't expect shit to come like sooner than it's supposed to. So it's like a combination of the two. And then he's like saying, this is how I put the work in, and because I stick to the knowledge instead of the flashy shit, I'm gonna get my times. It's gonna come. This is what they're gonna say for real. The chorus was a little bit funny to me. I mean, it sounded like a guy who was having a really good time and did not care if it was the best sounding thing. And that I appreciated, but I did not find the chorus to be the best sounding thing, even if the words were really nice. Be that as it may, the verses are just as insane as ever. I'm a wordsmith, lyrical metallurgist, never nervous, and I'm always down to serve kids, no mistaken. I got a way of making my words fake, crashing, and even my accidents have a purpose. The ringmaster treat the stage like a circus. Hip-hop's my job, and I'm careful with who I work with. From the deaf, the dumb, the blind, to the learned. Got it right, because tonight we might blow a circuit. I'm just like, fuck. So he recognizes his point as a lyricist, right? And he understands on top of that he is a role model and that there are young minds and little people that are listening to him. So because of that, he makes sure that the intent of his songs and everything has a purpose and a message, so that when people do hear it, it's like he's in charge and in control of the flow of what he's actually trying to say. You got to pay attention, because once you put those words down, it's just that. And he's also cautious with who he works with. Like, some people are of the mind that you should just do a feature with anybody. And I don't know. I've been asked the question, would you do a feature with this famous rapper that you don't think that you should do a feature with? In my head, it would be insert a name that maybe ideologically. Like, it would be really weird for me to go on a song and pretend like I'm a crack-selling guy just because the guy offered me the feature. That would be a strange thing for me to do. That wouldn't be being true to myself. Now, if we could find a way to twist the song and make it interesting, sure, but that's not what would happen. That's not the situation.
Right.
The situation is, would you compromise your integrity to go get that feature? Would you have that guy who might be, let's say, representing ideals that are against, like, I'm not trying to say I'm a self-righteous person. I'm trying to say that there are certain elements of certain people's brands I don't want to associate with my brand. As a result of that, it's your integrity. Do you take every feature? No. Be a little cautious, because you're not talking about opportunities. We're talking about everybody showing up and saying whatever. It's recognizing what's an opportunity and what could hurt you. Anyway, it was really cool lyrics to me. I like when he's like, I turn on stages without regret. Show me one, and if I haven't ousted yet, I'll come and blast it. But I'm not talking about the tech. So he's very clear about the lyrics, that his form of his weapon is going to be rhyming. It's almost like hip-hop to its truest sense. And what I really liked was when he followed that line up with, I'll put words together in any alphabet. Like, he's just so good at take languages he doesn't even know and make it happen. Or you could smoke 10 dimes, recite your best 10 rhymes, and still couldn't manage to damage or even bend mine. And that's kind of maybe attacking the folk who consume the chronic and make certain lines. I'm going to tell you, Mr. Last Emperor, some folk who smoke the chronic can handle it, but I get your point. The people who rely on that are not able to come at you. Anyway, so I like this song. I give it a 4.5 on 5. Lots of fun to listen to, a lot of whatever, but just still a little bit off from perfect to me. Just very well done.
Let's check out The World of Susie Wong.
Or Married.
I know niggas that can't wait to get between her, but if you get caught with her, it's more than a miss.
I could be wrong, but from my Googling efforts, Susie Wong is weed.
Actually, I mean, I found a couple of references to it. I did find a reference that referred to it as weed. It was an Australian slang for a bong. It was like a common expression used in the 70s and 80s.
Still
Also
weed.
like weed.
And there was a book that came out in 1957 called The World of Susie Wong, and it was about a prostitute. And I'm guessing maybe in a war?
But may I interject with just one little part from this song?
You may.
We lost touch. I heard lately she's dating this kid they call Dutch. That's a blunt rapper.
There's
if I'm not
several
mistaken.
references to
They got off to an incredible start. They gave him ideas about blowing the charts. Blowing, when you puff and smoke.
Right.
When she broke up with Dutch and split him apart.
Right.
Or twisted, but even when I'm sober, I hunt Susie like Sean Connery in Red October. Sad to say this relationship is over because when I found Susie, I had to smoke her. Get it?
And his eyes are tight. He talks about like a reference to that, like how they're so like squinty, I guess.
But it's also a little bit more maybe commenting on the effect it has on like the whole area, right?
I think it has to do kind of more with like addiction, as well.
Like I'm looking for Susie Wong. Tell me, have you seen her? I need her before I step inside the arena. We lost touch and let Philly come between us. So that almost could be like a Philly rap or the city. Kind of interesting, but
Right.
I get the idea that he doesn't even want to get on stage and spit rhymes without even smoking some pot,
Yeah.
And
there's like an Asian woman that sings like at the beginning and at the end of this song as well.
Right.
So like that kind of like
I think that
gives it like that, Oriental feeling or whatever.
I feel like that's carried out through the song. That's partly why I got annoyed, and that's partly
I get
why
it.
this song was like kind of an irritant to me because
irritants.
I didn't really like the vibe to it. I didn't like the beat to it, but the lyrics were pretty creative.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth, because I just can't stand a lie. I can't find her, but I'll still be a man and try. For Susie's affection, I'll punch out a samurai. Made for a marrying, no woman's flyer than she. Calms me down with a stroke of a violin. She brings peace to the streets filled with violence. And that's where I really got the sense that people, like, it's kind of commenting on how people almost use marijuana like this magical crutch to solve everybody's problems. Everyone's almost violent to get it, but like, oh yeah, it's cool once we have it, everybody's cool and peace and love and hippy dippy stuff, Or they tell me time and time again, shit is real. The slightest touch gives Susie the illest feel. Take one, pull, and watch her flesh turn into steel. I'm seeing red and the stage is like killing field. She got my eyes so tight I can't open them. No matter how hard I try, I can't focus them. Dangerous rhymes, minds I'll be blowing them. Far from addictive ghetto version of opium. So I got the sense that weed is just kind of used as a painkiller to a lot of people in like a cheapish version of opium to handle the situation of the harsher realities around it. And let's be real, a lot of people self-medicate on marijuana, and it is definitely not the addiction-free wonder drug that maybe certain people will post on the internet. All I'm trying to say about that. I thought this was a cool song personally. The beat to me was fly. The message was really interesting. I like it when I can get hooked up in the... I like how non-obvious he is. Like, he talks about real shit, but in a really... To quote Chris Chrome here, this is creative. Everything about this album so far has been creative the way Chris liberally uses the word normally. So 4.5 on 5. I don't care if I'm a dick. I'm with Chris twice a week, most weeks. How did you feel?
I
was talking to the internet, not you. We're good. Sometimes they think I'm mean to you.
No, I've already said how I feel about the song. I think that lyrically it was very, like you said, creative. I think that I honestly thought he was talking about cocaine just because to me Susie's a white name and I know it's like Susie Wong, but I wasn't trying to go that far. But it's just that beat was so annoying.
It was an irritant.
It was, yeah.
Irritants.
Irritants. So I can just say it properly.
That's irritant.
Whatever. I gave it a 3.
Ooh.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this song was kind of creepy sounding. I definitely found the beat. It absolutely instantly reminded me of Immortal Technique's Dance with the Devil. Like that same sort of like creepy kind of, I don't know, like that creepy kind of vibe, I guess. For me, like if you can compare the two, you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like a song about like being addicted to weed, and like other like references to it is that, you know, she's blunt, or she's blunted or whatever. And like you can kind of figure it out by the end of the song that Susie is weed, or at least I did. Yeah, and then we have like the interesting song. So with like the Asian girl at the end. Basically, the whole song is just sort of like a weird and interesting sound, and like a weird kind of interesting message, I guess. So I gave it a 4.25.
There are like a dozen songs to still talk about.
Let's check out Monumental.
I'm a black more like Othello, but I won't die for Desdemona. Owner, diamond-studded mic walk on the stage of solid mark.
Bonnie, if you could describe R2D2's voice in one sound, what would it be?
Beep, boop, beep, 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 boop, beep, boop.
And Chris, how do you feel about Monumental?
That was monumental. It was good. I felt like we went back into I'm king shit again. But not like I'm king shit. More like I want to be remembered. I wanna leave a mark. He wants people to acknowledge what he can do and how he's trying to spread his message. I enjoy that like soul soothing music in the background. Like it was very just calming and relaxing and comforting to listen to. Had this like R&B feel to it. Overall, I gave it a 4.
Boom. And Bonnie?
Yeah, so I mean there's a lot of like well read, like he's obviously like an intellectual. He's giving like smart examples of things. He sounds smart overall, and like, you know, as I previously mentioned, he is like a university, he has university degrees. So he's monumental. He just kind of talks about monumental things that humans have done and have made and accomplished. And whether good or bad, there's lots of examples like throughout history of like monumental people and actions and things that took place. He's kind of like, you know, mentioning a lot of those, especially a lot of like ancient kind of societies. He's mentioning like a lot of that. So I think that that's like, you know, you probably have to be like well read and kind of know what you're talking about to be able to talk about that.
Right.
He's also a geek.
So yeah, and like his mind is monumental. And yeah, so it's a good song. It had a good message. I gave it a 4.5 on 5.
Yeah, this song is awesome. I like the feel of the beat. The chorus is actually really strong on this one. It really is one of the few that feels like a more of a timeless almost song, and that it's laying down just again more of his knowledge, his philosophy. Being righteous in my career and conflict is just a job risk. You know, stopping this when I build rhymes like an Egyptian obelisk. Get it? A monument. Watch me get down in your province, town, or populace. That's right. Provinces, Canada. What? And my life rhyme is prime. Possess the matrix like Optimus. That's a Transformers bar, Bonnie. That's a Transformers bar.
I know.
Optimus Prime
my friend
is the
has a whole bunch of like Transformers.
So does my boy Nuclear Convoy. I went into his room. There's like 1,000 around his room staring at you. Now you'll get framed like a diploma in your spiritual coma. That's how that one ends. But yeah, and then the chorus is monumental for mortal men who pretend they never knew me. Monumental for these MCs thinking they can do me. Monumental for the simple things in life that suit me. They had ancestors that speak through me, etc. He's kind of like showing a little bit how he what fuels him and what drives him as a person, the philosophies and whatnot. Or the empire builders must construct societies. That's the difference between my spirit and the man that deceives the individual to the masses, imperialist and fascist, titaniums and plastics, alkaline and acids. Anyway, that kind of made me think like this dude is what a lot of people are pretending to be on the internet these days with some of the language that's being used. I know he calls himself a social democrat, if I'm not mistaken, like a socialist democratic person earlier in the song. So he's clearly an actually left-wing person in a economic principle and philosophical way. He's against capitalism a little bit. He doesn't really like the system here. But all that is really cool. But then my mind got fucking blowing. I've got a Stargate leading to dimensions in my basement. I'm watching Stargate Universe right now. Stargate SG-1 might be my favorite television show of all time. I know I love Star Trek, and I'm a huge Star Trek fan. We're going to get there. But first, let's acknowledge the man watches Stargate. That is a Canadian show. And for the longest time, Canada repped the longest running sci-fi of all time with SG-1, 10 seasons. What? Okay, let's go back into this. Speaking of Star Trek, attack the UN like the Klingons did the United Federation. I'm like, I was in heaven. I was like, I can't wait to bring this up tonight. Like, I just can't wait. Because I like Star Trek too, as I said. Anyway, so abort the mission and get played out of position. Never let technology override this oral tradition. I'm a rather odd man here to carry out God's plan. Anyway, so then he kind of brings it back in a little bit, but think about that. So he's making it very clear that in light of technology and our text-to-text and emojis taking over words and conversation, it's important to keep the oral tradition of rhyming and storytelling. Storytelling used to be how ideas were transferred prior to writing, right? So you would have people in your society whose job was to document the history, memorize the story of your history of your people and tell it. And I feel like he's trying to use hip hop in a way to replicate that same feeling and create monumental stories out of the situation in a deeper historical way. Yo, give me Star Trek and Stargate and watch how my brain flies. 4.75. Truly almost perfect, fucking nearly flawless song, but it's a little gritty, a little grimy, a little bit dense, but damn is it good. Like this is like rum balls. I don't know if you ever had really good rum balls.
Yeah.
It's just those two
No,
lines.
most of the song is good. I find rum balls to be delightful. Like
I've had
if you
rum
try to
balls.
eat like 5 of them though, you're gonna get real sick sometimes. And I feel like they're so delicious, but you gotta space this out because you have to marinate. And I haven't had the chance to marinate yet. Okay, so since I tried to introduce this and Bonnie graciously correct. Oh, did you give your grade here? Did I skip you?
I'm good.
Okay, because sometimes I forget and I'm a jerk. So this time we're actually going to talk about the dozen.
Complaining, but casually conversing, rhyming without cursing. I sound fast on wax.
So let's talk about this song. Chris, you know how it is. Tell us about your experiences about the Not So Dirty Dozen.
So a line that stuck out to me, the first, I think, actual political line that stuck was third world children who can't feed themselves. And that was just kind of like, well, that's true. There is shit happening and kind of just brought me to realization, like not realization, but like, hey.
Well, that line, actually, you kind of, it's taken out of context. I mean, no, your thoughts that you felt of thinking about them is
Right.
cool. But it's from giants to elves, suitcases to shelves, and third world children who can't even feed themselves. Being conceited is bad for your health. So every once in a while, I try to diss myself.
Right. And
So-
that's like the chorus.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. So the line on its own sounds really different than in the context of the chorus, where
Of
he's
course.
saying that literally everybody on the planet, from the biggest to the smallest to the poorest, needs to check themselves a minute here, and then he.
Well, it's
Sets up
not
the
just
song.
that. It's like you need to check yourself because he believes in not being conceited. He believes in not being like not feeling like he is kind of degrading you or something like that. Like
Well,
you have to be
it's-
humble in a sense.
It's almost like he disses himself. So he goes so far as to put himself into place so that other people don't even have to. So he does the work, you know.
Which is a
rather-
good self-analyzing tool. I mean, he's very critical on how he moves, on how he makes decisions. So he seems that he must spend time like, okay, what did I do today? Did I do this right? Is this like, do I agree with what I did? Like, kind of like self-reflects daily or weekly or whatever it is, which is really cool. I enjoy this is where I found out he was near shy 30. I think this is where we get his name is Jamal.
Yeah,
Without-
it's Jamal Gray.
Yeah, and it's the second or third time he's brought up his name. But yeah,
Okay.
go on.
Okay. I get the sense that people are kind of worried about his health. He thinks that he's a little bit like a misfit into society.
They think he's too thin.
Right. But I think that's part of like trying to not feel greedy or something. Like he wants to like be part of this whole like no money ideology, like we're trying to like survive and fight for what we need or something like that.
Okay.
But overall, I enjoyed the song. I think that it was a nice concept for him to shit on himself to kind of keep himself in check. And I think that that's a really
Before somebody else does?
not just before somebody else does, but it's like, again, I take it more as the more self-aware, self-reflecting, self-analyzing. It's the I can shit on myself, which makes me okay with who I am in my own skin, and be a better person.
More like, it's so bad to be conceited that I'll rather go out of my way. Not every day, but once in a while, I diss myself. I put myself down to reality, you know? That's kind of what I took from that hook.
Absolutely. I gave the song a 4.
And you? What did you feel?
Well, I mean, right at the beginning, like, you kind of see he's kind of realizing that people are still, like, subtly racist. He's kind of dealing with that, like, you know, still going on. He's kind of, like, unique and mysterious and scary, kind of like the Bigfoot or, like, Sasquatch or, like, one of those guys. So I think that kind of is, like, reference to, like, his album title. You know, like we were saying, people think he's too thin. He talks about how he's signed by Dr. Dre and, like, you know, it's kind of weird, but, like, I know, like, somewhere in this, like, message, like, I feel like I was missing something, but, like, I know that it was, like, a good message. I just didn't really know what it was about. I don't know what
Don't be conceited.
But, like, what is the dozen? Like, I didn't really know what that was. I didn't know what that stood for exactly.
Okay.
And, like, kind of, like, the message felt like maybe, like, pay your life back, like, make it worth something. I got confused on this one, so I gave it a 3.5 on 5. It wasn't my favorite.
I think it's a little bit about being self-aware, like Chris has brought up. Like, can't be compromised, nor bought, nor cross-examined in court. I slammed the mic like a gavel and declared a mistrial, wage war like the sons of Isaac and Ishmael, switch styles into fashion that only the kid could. My debut album is entitled The Legend of Bigfoot. I actually just quoted that, not because of what I was just saying. I realize it's because I really dig how he quoted his album title in his thing as a little bit of promo.
Well, this is also where I think this is where I took away the name of the title. Why he called himself that is because he's shitting on himself, because he follows up with telling us he's got 12 foot feet.
Hey.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
But on top of that, it's a little bit like he's super proper. He can't even rekindle. Maybe he's not like he's so proper. People can't really cross-examine him because his shit's just so nice the first time around. And then, you know, he can almost create a mistrial with the sense of his power of his words and whatnot. Anyway, so he's kind of goofy. I got the sense with the Legend of Bigfoot. It's almost like, in a sense, a weird thing to do, right? It's not like the strongest, most obvious move that most people would do. But it also confirms this is his first album. Mm-hmm. Acknowledge my story, but don't invade my territory. Besides being an MC, I've got nothing going for me. Although my life might seem to have zero interference, small children still run from my hideous appearance. My clothes are torn and trashy. Cops try to blast me. Elderly women still clutch their handbags when they pass me. I feel like that's kind of him dissing himself a bit. So he could be going on about how he's like the biggest MC and the baddest motherfucker
Rollie
out
on
there.
my wrist.
Yeah.
But instead, he'd rather not and be with holes in.
But I feel like it's more like he's saying, but no, the reality of the thing is I'm still this dirty, gross, maybe black man, and people perceive me this such a way. So he takes himself down a peg and recognizes it. It's like, I call myself an asshole a lot on this because it's very important for me to be aware of the fact that I am an asshole at all times. It's almost like I'm dissing myself to keep my ego in check, and I kind of took a little bit more like that was the core message of this. I give it a 4. I thought it was decent. It was on the... Maybe it's just because I've been listening to it for a minute, but some of the songs did feel a little bit draggy. Almost all of them are 4 to 5 minutes long, so they're really full-length, dense, 3-verse tracks the whole way through. But the next one changed things up a little bit.
I'm excited. Let's check out the Jungle Cats.
One, do not fear my appearance, remain calm, do not run. We come from a planet which...
I can tell you, of every song on this album, I was the most thrown off by how serious he took this one.
I loved it.
I'm
not saying it's bad. I've never...
Just
go.
Just do it.
Take the jungle cat vow. Meow,
meow. But it's not in a joking or funny way.
He's
it's
dead
actually
serious.
He's dead serious, and the people and like there's a crowd of people who's chanting along, right?
Meow,
and
meow.
and they also have that serious dedication in their voice.
Basically, we found the song for 45-year-old white women who live with their cats and need
Oh
something
my
to rebel
God,
with.
we're getting killed.
I'm throwing it out there.
For
Okay.
everybody that loves cats, even
Bonnie,
he loves cats.
This is very... Bonnie loves cats.
I
Why
love
don't you
cats.
start this one?
I mean, this like right away made me like LOL and like how serious it was. This is just too good of a song. So Jungle Cat's talking. Jungle Cats are like the best rappers, I'm guessing. Like that's kind of like what he was trying to like imply. And also this song, the whole thing kind of sounded ska-like to me. So maybe I think that was kind of like a popular sound in like the late 90s, early 2000s. So I thought that was kind of like an interesting touch on like the ska sound. And then cats become extinct like the Great Canadian Lynx.
Yep.
So I wrote down that one. I mean, that's another Canadian
Wait, a lynx
reference.
is Canadian?
Well,
Yes.
or was.
No, it's no longer on the list, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this one he said was extinct. So I
Because
know that there
at
are
the
other
time,
lynxes.
but at the time.
no.
Well, extinct means there's no more.
Oh,
in,
fair.
in 2000, when this came out, the Great Canadian Lynx had just been put on the endangered list.
But he's saying it was extinct.
I know.
That
I
could- that-
Googled
So I don't know.
this.
I don't
But that
know.
could
I
be him.
Googled
Okay.
what happened to the Great Canadian Lynx. I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw one at the Biodome a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm like, there are still lynxes.
So-
I just don't know if it was
But
like a different.
so what I understand is at the time they were very endangered, but this is not one of those situations where it went out. But I think he was trying to bring political awareness
Oh,
to
maybe.
the fact that around this time, the Great Canadian Lynx, which is awesome, again, Canada, my man, who put this on their list. Look, I double checked this a little bit. It's not extinct.
Okay, well, good. Let's keep it like that.
I
Anyways,
swear, if I'm wrong and I missed something, I'm gonna get slaughtered right now.
That one comment, someone's like, hold in,
Yeah.
link in description.
maybe it's like
Yeah.
the less great, the good Canadian lynx that's still around instead of the great one.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's just like that.
I know
Anyways,
I saw Lynx in Montreal.
yeah. I've seen.
I
Well,
mean, my
yeah.
cat's name is Lynx. So.
Oh, but if you go to the Biodome, they have a Lynx.
No, I know.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Anyways, so I mean, the meow meow was just too much. I loved it so much. It was too cute, too fun. It was just great. So King of the Jungle is a cat. And then we have like the meow meow, like the chant, which is just again too good for me. He's talking about cat people. Basically, this song is just hilarious. I love it so much. I don't really know what it's about, but it sounded awesome. I just thought it was amazing, so I gave it a 5 on 5.
And you?
So, I think like the purpose of the song is that it's another one of these fictional creative songs because
Definitely.
clearly cat like unless you're really going after crazy cat ladies, cat people don't exist. So,
Have you played Skyrim, my friend?
for fuck's sakes. Do you see what I deal with
Cat
every
people,
Sunday?
cat
They do.
people.
They
Like-
call me an asshole and defend you in the comments. Go on.
But I didn't get the song either. I don't really understand what the purpose of this song is besides having a really great time and meow, meow. That is really
Meow
it.
meow is the strongest message here.
A line that I liked was when he goes, can they skin a cat? I doubt this. Eaten like meow mix. Perfect. Back to control panel. Same cat time, same cat channel.
Nailed it.
I tried. I tried so hard for that.
So I'm going to just suggest if we go back to Animalistic, how he embodied the spirit of the various animals and it was battle rapping.
and it was like Black Panther.
And in this case,
So this is his like jungle cat crew, and he's king
but
leader.
yeah,
and
he's kind of like, as Bonnie put out, Jungle Cats are like the hype MCs.
Right.
And he's going in on the cat bars, right? Like, I leave my claw
Catalyst.
marks to indicate my battle zones. Any human who tests will surely rest in the catacombs. Any cat and mouse tricks. Can they skin a cat? I doubt this. If you try competing, you'll get eaten like Meow Mix, right? Like, that's the whole line.
Perfect.
You don't have to cock your Glocks back to be radical like the Spot Cats. So he's now telling you don't need guns to be a cat like him. So stop that. I'll turn your matchbox into box match. My rhyme will make Father Time turn his clock back and look for me like, wait for it, Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock Act. What? Star Trek
I
bars.
ignored that line.
All I'm trying to say is Bonnie gave a 5 to the Star Trek line.
I gave a 5 to the Star Trek line too.
I gave this song a 4.
Boo.
Like
You were so like. I just want to say you went classic bars. Meow meow.
I mean,
It is a classic
for me,
bar.
I get what he's doing. It's
being a
good
cat.
for a bit of a lull.
right.
He's dead serious. You should not be laughing at him. He is a cat person.
But that's the thing.
the
He's
jungle cat Val.
dead serious, man.
Meow, meow.
And I appreciate the creativity in this song.
3 strangers meet up
But there
to
is
do the.
literally no time in my life I see myself listening to this song unless Bonnie's in the shower singing along.
I honestly
Easy.
think that I'm gonna walk in next week. And
No, it's not on Spotify. She's not loading the YouTube app. We're fine. My point is I cannot, like, I mean, I understand that there are songs for everybody, and sometimes an artist is going to make varied content. Evidently, you guys like this one a lot. See? Varied content, different interests, different people.
Right.
It's all about how your meditation works.
Me plant me, grow me, light me up and then smoke me. Got you thinking you're the Godfather like Vito Corleone.
Do you know what meditation is, Chris? That's definitely a thing.
That's one way to
Chris
meditate.
Chris is meditating if ever we have this in a non-video format.
But I think also meditation is part of it's another way of like escaping reality in a sense.
It's like centering your thoughts and allowing yourself to kind of work through things and find peace
Before
within
mindful.
yourself. Yeah, all that fluff. And I'm
Or
not saying
listening
it's
to
fluff.
music.
No,
Or listening to
no.
hip hop.
I would say that meditation is different.
Well,
You
I mean, I could sit
do
here.
you know enough about meditation to get into this conversation?
I
Do you know enough
do
about
not know enough about meditation,
Then let's move on.
but I can escape in
Yes.
music.
Now that's a fair statement, but I'm gonna just say that's fine. But like,
I swear he was like, oh my God, I hope he doesn't go on this meditation conversation.
I'm like, Chris, don't speak out your ass. So yeah, how do you feel about the song titled "Meditation"? That might be more about what you're feeling.
I actually really enjoy this song. I like how from what I get, he's using the word meditation to escape, and he's expressing different scenarios that helps him use music to escape and to get his thoughts back, to help him control himself. There's a part where he kind of talks about like,
What does he talk about?
oh no, that's the next song.
All right, so on the next song we'll talk about that
Next
part.
song. But I do like the concept of him using hip hop to meditate and to get through whatever's happening. I did like the beat to it. It wasn't super drowny. It wasn't super like just out there. It was very smooth and together. So 4.5.
Nice. Yeah, so I didn't really like get much out of this song. Like it was the fact that he was kind of talking about how he is or was like an underground artist. And now he's signed and now he's kind of made it and people are kind of judging him and he's just kind of like having to like overcome that and like everyone's judgment and whatever. But hip hop is like his escape. And this is where he like feels free and like calm and like at peace. And there's sort of like a monk chanting in like the background, which I thought was, I guess, interesting and relevant to the song title. So overall, I gave it a 4 on 5. I don't really have much else to say.
That's cool. I mean, everything has mostly been said, so I'll just quote some bars that I thought were pretty dope here. Like, sacked me and grappled me. I was too righteous of an athlete. At first, I was alone. Now there's 1,000 kids backing me. Finally got a deal. Now the CIA is tracking me. I didn't mean to do it. Socialism just came naturally. I think it's time to meditate. My sentiments exactly. I love that little part there, right? So he's trying to like deal with life and stuff, and he couldn't go down the path of like being athletics or whatever. So he came to his own conclusions. He found his own vision. He went out and did his own thing. And at first,
I think the CIA, he also meant that it stood for like crimes in action or something like that. And it didn't stand for it.
It's literal. Because think about it. He's a revolutionary figure. He spits against capitalism. He's pro-socialism.
Yeah.
And then he went from being a lone fighter to having an army of kids, 1,000. It's a legion backing him up now.
Yep.
And so now that he's got a deal and he's getting attention, he's so hot and he's so interesting and he's actually gaining this clout.
CIA could be watching him.
That now he's being tracked and shit, you know?
Yeah, true.
Or I stay away from crooks and study because books by the ancients. When the world gets too crazy, hip-hop helps me escape it. No gravity, I'm weightless. Broke from poverty to greatness. I create this and built this. Kick back and smell the fragrance. One love, one blood. I got rhymes buried in my platelets. You can state this, grace this, place this with emphasis. Now enter this, take shots like Islamic fundamentalists. Man, that's just powerful lines, man. So he stays pure to himself. He gets lost in the music, pure to the craft. He comes in and his shit's so fucking hard. It sprays shots in such an extreme kind of way and whatnot. And he basically just follows through. And the way he's been maybe going on throughout the whole album, but he still is managing to impress me with lines this many songs in. There's still like nuggets to come out of his bag. And you gotta just consider it's the very beginning of his career. It's his first album. And he's already given birth to more styles than half you MCs got through adoption. Be careful of the lyrics and the rhymes that you be dropping, because while we meditate, the whole universe is watching. So I think he's trying to point out that he's able to actually come up with styles, come up with things. But while everyone else is being a clone, they're not even really thinking about the fact that everyone else is watching them be a clone, and there's consequences and shit.
True.
I have it a 4 on 5. It's pretty okay. It's got great lines and stuff, but again, I felt like maybe it's because I was listening to it just all there. It got to be a little bit a lot around now. But still, interesting shit. And if the songs I had some chance to absorb them and go track by track, they're still really great. So let's keep on trucking through this.
Dress you, I bet you. At certain times, I like music protect you. With the power to get down for your crown.
Okay, Bonnie, how do you feel about this one? And there's a line I know that you're excited about. I saw it, and go on.
Yeah, okay, so actually the line is Indiana Jones of microphones. So, I mean, I love that. I love Indiana Jones. I love Harrison Ford.
I'm just gonna continue that
or let's go a little earlier. The descendant returns throwing rhymes at your dome. The last emperor. To say it.
Indiana Jones of microphones.
My music helps you keep when life starts to stress you. Keep on when life starts to stress you. I bet you at certain times in life, music protects you.
With the power to get down for your crown when clowns try to test you. The power to overthrow wicked governments who oppress you.
Teamwork. Look at that.
Don't let that happen.
Not only is he... She would probably fuck old man Harrison. That's all I'm trying to say.
If he still had the whip.
So not only is he indie, but his music is something there to keep you focused and to inspire you and give you the knowledge to take out evil government. That's how badass. And what did Indiana Jones do?
Same thing.
He fought Nazis. From what I can tell, Indiana Jones was a serious asshole who murdered a lot of people, but because they were Nazis, everyone's
It's
cool with it.
okay.
Let's move on from that. That's not the comparison he's trying to make. That was just my recent observation. Okay, Brian, how else did you feel about
So he's just kind of talking about the fact that he's broke. He doesn't spend much money on like random stuff. He doesn't have that much stuff. He kind of like gets by on like the minimal, probably has like one suitcase full of stuff and that's it. He just wants people to be peaceful, to be confident in themselves and in like their culture, and kind of like jungle cats like rise up. Like he wants like all these like random people who think that they're cat people to like rise up. But I think he also just means like, like all the people that are like maybe feeling oppressed in some way. So I thought this was a cool sounding song. It had a cool beat. The flow was cool. Everything was cool. So I gave it a 4.25.
And you?
I like his simplicity in what and how he carries himself. Like he doesn't really have that much. He doesn't really express that he's really trying to carry that much of a baggage. He really just wants people to, like you were saying, be happy and be peaceful. I think he does believe a lot in music, especially hip hop. He really gets into that feel, and he that line that I quoted, I related to that. I do feel that sometimes music will protect you and music will get you out of certain situations because one, not only are you not speaking and you're just listening, right? You're not really running your mouth, but two, it also kind of helps you feel certain ways and helps you kind of strengthen yourself in certain times if you're listening to the right song. So fair. I thought that was a good line to touch upon. I gave the song a 4 on 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, he's got actually interesting lines here. Like, I suggest you get this with "Throw your lighters in the air because we about to set it off like Tiananmen Square."
Yeah.
Fun fact, the guy that I used to work at, where I used to live, the guy at the dep was actually in China when Tiananmen Square went down. And I got to hear stories from a guy who bicycled away to avoid the conflict hours before it started. It was very...
What happened in Tiananmen Square?
It's a giant protest, hundreds of thousands of people. The government moved in with tanks and shit, and bad stuff happened.
Is this in like?
You should. It's a real historical event. You should Google.
I will.
Now, what does it take to be the last emperor? Spokesman for the broken, the impoverished, and the poor. My empire of bums is too numerous to mention. On top of that, we're flat broke and can't afford to pay attention. And you can see that he represents this group of outcasts, these impoverished people, these minorities and places that maybe don't have the same representation, but also don't have the money, but also don't have the time to find the money because there's so much shit going on they can't even pay attention to the normal shit that seems to be going on in the world. And I just thought it was so powerful.
That is powerful.
Israeli and Palestinian joined forces to jump me. I was like, damn. That's how fucked up his message is, that they have to band together, you know? Mm-hmm. Or third world countries have been brought to their knees by the European nations. You know, it's just saying stuff like that is powerful, you know? It's worth saying. When I looked a lot into some of the disasters that have happened in the world, and we need to update our history a little bit as people.
I agree.
I gave it a 4.25, or like Bonnie.
All right, let's go to heaven.
7 minutes ahead.
I don't embrace the taste of death, but I don't fear it. Visions of heaven draw me near it. Everlasting.
Hey.
So we got Heaven.
Which might be the album closer, but might not be, depending on what track list you look at on the internet.
Well, one of the lines that was really something that stuck out to me was, I don't embrace the taste of death, but I don't fear it. Visions of heaven draw me near it. Everlasting life in the spirit. And I like that type of bravery that he's showing off in this song. He's showing so much courage and having to fight for what he believes in and having to fight for where he wants to go, that he feels he's already in heaven. He feels like he's already going to be in that good place.
I'm going to have to maybe disagree with your interpretation, having come from a bit of a religious background in my life. In these last days of time, as the earth spins faster, I often fantasize about life in the hereafter, paradise, the afterlife, land of the pleasant. I dream of how my life will be when I get to heaven, followed by what you just said, right? So with those lines before it, the context of that, I mean, I'm not saying it's not brave per se, but what I then, I obeyed the commandments, universal laws. I prophesied about heaven, and this is what I saw. I was placed in the land of milk and honey, fascination. So I think what he's trying to convey actually is he has no reason to fear death. Death is not a scary thing to him because he visualizes what heaven's going to be, and he has done all of the right things to have earned his place in heaven. That while he doesn't embrace the idea of dying as a joyful or something he looks forward to, he has no reason to fear dying because he knows that once he dies, his soul will pass on to a better place and life is gravy, as my brother would say. And I mean, if you've ever gone to church or whatever, been involved in that life, it's often, it's just a motivating agent. Once you think that you're going to have good things happen after you die, death is no longer scary. I mean, in a more dark and twisted sense, it's kind of the basis of how a lot of terrorists behave, you know?
Right.
So not to take his message and correlate it to that. I mean, I'm personally motivated by that kind of thinking. I'm cool with God. If I die, I feel like my soul's right. So I don't really fear death. You know, it's not I don't really see it as brave. If anything, I feel like I'm a coward because I need God to protect me. You know. That was my little interpretation.
That's interesting.
Sorry if I offended anyone with the terrorist comment. Not my intentions.
But other than that, I didn't really take much else from that song. It was just really that line. I do get the sense that I felt like he thinks that hip-hop is bringing him to heaven, what he's doing in music, and he feels like he's already there when he listens to the hip-hop. So I gave it a 4 on 5.
All right. So yeah, this is sort of like the end of time. You know, he's talking about the afterlife and like what's going to happen. Again, you know that he's not scared of death. He's been good, and so there's peace in heaven, and you know, I think he kind of knows where he's supposed to go. And people don't have to be so provocative. He's kind of like judging like what's going on in society, like at that time that the song came out. That people are being so provocative and using drugs and alcohol and like doing like, you know, sinful things. And he wants people to kind of be, I think, more peaceful, maybe be more Christian, like follow and like and do the right things, like make the right choices and be a good Christian person. I think, you know, that's kind of what he's saying. And in heaven, he says that there's not going to be any police brutality. There's going to be no stress. There's not going to be guns. There's going to be, you know, you're not going to be scared of people. There's going to be no government. There's going to be no anger. Everyone's going to be equal, and everyone's going to be happy and peaceful. And it's, you know, you're going to be elated. You're in heaven. So I thought this was a good, strong message. He's kind of giving you something to believe in and kind of, you know, something more to think about. So I gave it a 4.75.
Yeah, it's cool. This has possibly got to be the best chorus on the album with that so fresh, so fly, I ride in paradise. It's just beautifully, the way he sings it out is really nice. But he also has this whole bit while he's in heaven and he's just like describing the interactions he's going to have with all of these dead people he almost just can't wait to meet. So at the opportunity to meet these heroes, death is almost exciting in the way he puts it. Like, to put it loosely, an angel will introduce me to all these famous people. I'll learn kung fu from Bruce Lee. He's dead at this point. The best of all the best rhymes on the best labels, doing shows with Scott LaRock and Prince Messiah on the tables, discussing politics with Mao Zedong and Malcolm. By chance, Queen Latifah's brother Lance will do production on my album. Heavenly tracks with heavenly rhyming, Jimi Hendrix on guitar, vocals by Phyllis Hyman. So you got the sense that he's almost visualizing this utopia, what he really hopes it's going to be like when
his
he gets
ultimate
there.
bandmates.
Yeah. I mean, I give it a 4.5 on 5. I think it's a really sweet song, one of the cooler ones on this album with an interesting concept. It's very uplifting and cool to listen to. So there's two more we're going to talk about.
Let's check out Black Magic.
Yeah. This song felt about as good as all the other ones in terms of lyrical quality and stuff. The beat was a little bit slower, less interesting, but it's okay. It's not fine. Virtually none of the lyrics stood out to me. Not to say that they didn't stand out to me, but as in I didn't have a lot of talking points. I didn't feel anything. But I did really like when he's like, while you were rapping about whatever gun you were packing, my rhyming side stole the show like the Muppets stole Manhattan. That was an excellent line.
I appreciate that.
That was pretty cool. Otherwise, I give it a 4. It's solid. It's cool. It's as good as any of the other lyrical adventures we've gone through. Sorry if this was lazy.
Yeah, I also don't have very much to say about this song. He believes in black magic, I guess. You know, he enjoys working with other like black people. He's kind of like supporting that, and I think that's fine. For me, I didn't find he sounded very good on the chorus at all. This song, like, it just dragged down the whole album. Like, you know, this is the lowest I'm giving of a grade on this album, so I give it a 2.5 on 5. I really did not like this one. Yeah, it's not for me.
Was it because he can rap and rhyme that it got a 2.5?
No.
Oh, okay, so there's other stuff to it.
No, I just didn't like this song. I don't know, the flow, the sound of it, everything.
Like this song?
I gave it a 4. You guys, like, you're not wrong when you say there's not much to really talk about the song.
I'm sure, and there's stuff to talk about. I just had not much to mention or didn't find.
What I do think there's something to talk about it is that he's trying to support the black community. In terms of black magic, he likes working with black people. He likes working with people from his culture and understands what's going on.
I just don't think that message came across as well, even as you just said it.
I think that it's part of the. I feel like he's got this certain outspokenness to him that he's using like certain terms. Like, again, when you hear black magic, you think negative. Like I automatically started thinking negative because you think black magic, you think witches, you think this, bad magic, this. But then I started thinking like, okay, you know, what else is black? You know, people, the culture, this, blah, 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 blah. And he's trying to integrate it into positivity again. He's trying to, again, do his whole convert the negativity out with black magic and then make it positive, you know, have more insight from more black people and stuff like that and try to figure out the culture. it's a good message.
Well, I know that a lot of like voodoo was practiced in like African countries and in Haiti and things like that, and so like maybe he's like referring to like that kind of black magic.
I didn't think of that. That could also be something as well. But it stands up to the rest of the music on this album though. Like it does stand up. It's not. I'm not giving it a 2.5.
That's just me,
giving it a
folks.
4.
Sorry, Mozart.
So Bonnie's just one of the bums. So bums, as I take it, are what he calls his fan base, is what I took from this song a little bit.
Okay.
Unless I'm wrong. What did you think?
I thought it was a nice ending to the album. I didn't really understand the song so much.
Okay, so what did you give it?
I gave it a 4.
And you, Bonnie?
Yeah, I feel like I may have misinterpreted it as well. So he just he's talking about how he wants like a record contract and like how he was broke and how he needed to, get that. And I guess he did, he signed with Dr. Dre. So I think that's a pretty good thing that he did there. So he's just kind of saying that he's a bum and that all his brothers in the slums are all bums and they're all like with him. And I think that maybe, yes, they are his fan base, but like, they're also like the people that he's hanging out with, so he's a part of like that culture, I guess, and that this song is for you. And he's kind of saying like being a bum isn't a bad way of life. Like this is like that's it. He says that the I don't know the beat is all right. He spits about science and not guns, so he's changing like the way that like we see and like what is like acceptable in like rap, I guess. Like he's changing things.
Didn't change too much.
Yeah. And the last emperor is the guy that you don't want to play because he's going to like kill it, I guess, like in a rap battle. And Jamal is a legend. So he's kind of talking about himself like as like who he is when he's not doing like rap. Like he's like a legend. Like he's a cool guy. And he says like, see you at the shelter at the end. So like he's kind of just like, it's a song for like homeless people or bums or whatever.
Well, it's like showing that
Well, no, I mean,
he's being equal.
But you gotta also consider, it's not the first time he's mentioned bums on this album.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not the first time he's laid down his philosophy.
Yeah.
The way he lives through the world and cruises like this vagabond mind, he maybe doesn't care if his clothes are fancy and new. He might have a little bit of a rip here or there. He's like, he's just kind of, I guess he's almost embodies what a bum is in the eyes of society, and he's playing it to the fullest. And I think in the way that Slipknot calls their fans maggots and other people have different terms for their fan base, this is kind of a song for his fans. So his fans are the bums of the world. They're the people who might not have the money, might not even have a home, Or like, I used to pump chums for money in lump sums, but now I snatch crumbs at 1,000 young bums. I'm an ever fresh, what I still possess remains measureless. My brain contains jewels and gems like a treasure chest. Raw deal, no lie, that's the real, and I can't remember the last time I had a hot meal, I think he's just kind of playing up on the I aspire to almost be a bum, because if you look through a more religious point of view, you're not supposed to aspire to riches. You're almost supposed to give it all away, like monks get rid of all of their possessions and stuff. So in his mind, to find spiritual...
And it does kind of follow like the message that we've seen across the album.
I feel like in his effort to find spiritual purity, he embraces the lifestyle of a bum. And that's his people. And I gave this one a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was cool. It was like a shout out to his folks and whatnot.
Oh, I gave it a 4. I don't know if I mentioned it.
That's cool. So I guess that's the end of this one. I guess for you, Mozart. I gave this album a 4.35. I thought it was really a fun experience. Dense lyricism, super dense lyricism, super duper dense lyricism. I mean, like, he could probably take apart every line and find that none of it's wasted. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a meaning. It's got that old school, grimy feel to the beats.
Yep.
It's a rap album. It's like you come here if you want that golden era fucking proper, or listen to deep lyrics and philosophy and get your, like, if you liked Mos Def's Black on Both Sides, I can imagine you'd really feel the type of content that's explored here. Something like a Killer, thank you, Chris. Something like a Killer Priest, Heavy Mental, something like that, like deep, you're going in for some shit, and I like that personally. But my main criticism of this album might be that, I don't know, get a hook. I like choruses. I really do. I like a bit of polish personally. So it was hard It was very gritty, very underground, very grimy feeling, and so I just thought it was.
But I think that's kind of something that he's proud of, right?
Yeah.
He wants to be underground. He likes that
But
feeling.
it's like, as a reviewing person, that was my impressions. My negative point would be that is why it's not a 5. You know, it's a really good.
Should be a 5
solid
because
project.
he nailed it.
Okay. So yeah, solid project. I did enjoy it, and I would recommend this guy. It makes me want to go listen to the Jungle Gym season 1.
Nice.
Yeah, overall, I gave it a 4.15 on 5, so it's at 83%. So, I mean, it makes a classic list. It's definitely, it's an interesting album with interesting thoughts. Like, he's a smart guy. You can kind of get that message right away. I liked a lot of, like, the interesting messages that he kind of puts, you know, into his songs, and, like, he kind of makes you think. I think it's really interesting that he does that. Yeah. That's it, I guess. Chris, what do you think?
Gave the album a 4.2. I enjoyed it. I think that if this was possibly on Spotify, I would have more time going back to it. I'm not really going to be going back to the YouTube link. But it's very dense, very heavy. I wish that I was able to find more lyrics to understand some of the songs a little bit more. That is fault on my end. But I don't really have any criticism. I'm just not into that type of music. Like, I'm not into sitting there for an hour and a half to.
Chris doesn't want to
really
have to Google everything to understand what's going on.
Well,
Part
true.
of it. Sometimes I'd rather just like enjoy the music for what it is. I'm not saying like I'm gonna go straight from this guy to one of the trap artists, but
But they serve very different roles. I get it. This song, honestly, this album requires some Googling. You can't
Right.
get through it without Google. If you really want to
It
understand
also is a bit dated too, so there's some things that like you have to like look
Google.
into
Right.
just because of that.
So it's not a criticism, but I mean, it's really like if the more effort you have to put into understanding it, the less likely you're going to be drawn into it. So if your knowledge base was higher, let's say in life, and I'm not trying to shit on Chris, I've lived 6 more years than him, so maybe I've just seen more to make it a little easier to grasp an idea. It makes it harder to enjoy something if you have to try.
oh, of course.
I mean, that's stuff I've learned as my day job has forced me to learn that kind of stuff. So effort counts in this subject. Anyway.
All right.
That's
well, I
really
guess
it,
that's
guys.
pretty much it.
So
Classic
thank-
Quest is over. Wrapping up now.
Okay, thank y'all for watching. We really appreciate you being here. If you do want us to review a particular album and expedite the speed upon which we get it, you can go to patreon.com/behindthatsuit and join up for the request raffle tier. But we do care about your comments, and if you do give us requests, it'll still go on that list, and we'll still try and get to all of them. And we still care about all of you, and without you, the show wouldn't even count for much. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll catch you next week with a lady rapper because it's episode 60, and that's cool. So bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.